Hello and welcome to another edition of Happenings in the Dearborn Public Schools. I'm David Mustonen, Director of Communications for the Dearborn Public Schools. That works out really well. You know, we're starting our third season of these shows, so thanks for stopping by and joining us. But joining me, as always, is our Superintendent, Dr. Maleyko. Glenn, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. Glad to be here.
Great.
I know we have an exciting guest topic today, and very excited to talk to our guest. And again, 30 plus episodes. I know we were at the state superintendent conference promoting this show, and it's a hit all across the state. And so we look to expand our ratings, not only locally, but at some point we're going to have to go national, I think.
Well, that's true. Being at that conference and talking about this show, that we may have other superintendents now checking in, see how we're doing.
Yeah. So we'll have to monitor that.
Yeah, we have to be on our best behavior as well. Somebody who's always on his best behavior is our school board trustee, Jim Thorpe. Jim, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here. I didn't get the memo for no suit today. It's a very hot day outside. I went more comfortable.
I would rather be sporting my Dearborn Public Schools polo today, given the warm temperatures. But here we are. And here you are. And thanks for joining us to talk a little bit about your experiences as a member of our Board of Education, but also your experiences just as a member of this community. You just didn't step up one day and say, oh, I'm going to jump on the board. You have a history here in our community. Tell us a little bit about that, Jim.
Yeah, I'm a lifer. Went through Dearborn Schools, graduated from Dearborn High. After graduating from college, moved back into Dearborn. I have an office right down the street, and it's been important to me to be involved in the community in different aspects, and I've been doing things with the school district for probably 15 years now.
Wow, nice. Involved in a lot of committees, I know too, that for the district, but I mean outside the district as well. Right. But also for us, you've served on some of our committees.
Right.
We've had to pull in business leaders and citizens.
Yeah, I've been on the Curriculum Council. I was on that for maybe 3 years. The Dearborn Education Foundation 4 or 5 years. Also helped out with the last two bond issues, serving as a treasurer for both the Hold Harmless renewal and for the Smart Bond.
Excellent. Great.
Well, and I know you mentioned the Ed Foundation. That's how you and I actually met.
Right.
I remember when I was assistant principal at Salina,
Yep.
and then I was moving to principal with Nadia Yeomans, and you came over and introduced yourself and said, hey, how can we help? We want to provide support for the students. So you've had a long history of providing support in the district, and then you also have your own children. How about your family that's now involved? I don't know if you want to tell us about your family.
Well, my wife is now serving as a president of her Rotary Club. I'm a past president of my Rotary Club. She is also busy with a lot of the kids' activities, runs some events over at Lindbergh. She was just over at Bryant last night for a PTA meeting. The kids are growing up, one over at Bryant, one still at Lindbergh. And we're getting immersed in the school district every angle you could imagine.
Well, and just let her know that she did a great job at the Schoolcraft Rotary Summit that we had.
Thanks.
I think it was called Summit. And I am actually coming in next year as a Dearborn Rotary president.
Exactly.
So I may have to call on you for some support and advice.
Happy to help
forward.
you out.
But, that's great. So you've been, invested. I see you. I mean, that's the other thing I know, Jim. Can you tell us a little bit about, with the board? I mean, we have 34 buildings in the district, 39 school programs. We've got 7 trustees, but how do you manage between, your work, your job, getting out there, making, visibility? And I know it's been what now, maybe 3/4 of a year you've been on the board? Coming close to a year in November.
Yeah.
So how is that? How do you manage those situations?
Well, all the trustees, we've got our different schedules, and for some, they work a little bit further away. Having an office right in the middle of Dearborn makes it easier for me just to take off for a little while to get over to one of the events. I tried my best to make it to as many buildings as I could last year during the school year. I can't tell you how many classes I read to during March for Reading Month.
That's great.
But just telling the principals, let us know what's going on. I can't make it to everything, but I will do my best to be able to make it to as many things as I can make it to.
Yeah, and that's great. I think for me being superintendent, one of the things is that I think it'd be hard for anybody to understand that relationship, superintendent, board, until you're actually there. I know I send you guys a lot of information too, in board briefs and other things that are going on. And we have a large district. David, sometimes you're part of those information notices and whatnot as well. But it is. So, for me, I see it as, working as a team, working together. I see, like you said, certain board members can do certain things and then others can go at other events. I know he also really loves getting in these selfie photos with the
Does
vision
he love
sign,
the selfie
especially at the
with
football
this vision
game.
sign? Yeah, he loves those. Right?
Yeah, as soon as I see Dr. Maleyko, he's always got the sign, I just want to run away. I don't want to be on any more of them.
So the trustees run the other way, the students run this way.
Toward, that's right. So Jim, you mentioned trustees have other jobs. Being a Board of Education trustee, that's not a full-time job. You don't have an office in the administration building. It is just something that you do to serve your community. And all of our trustees, that's the situation that they're in, and that they choose to go into. Also, along with being a trustee, you also serve as a trustee for the college as well, so you kind of double your time up on that. What makes someone want to take that jump and get into that? The strength of a board is having people from a variety of different backgrounds because they all bring their expertise to the board. And you as a local business owner bring that expertise to the board. But what makes someone want to jump into doing the job that you do?
Well, again, since I've been involved with the district in so many different ways throughout the years, seeing that there was seats available or an election coming up last year, I figured, it's logical for me to take the next step. I want to be involved with my kids' school as they're growing up. It's not always easy, and I see so many different programs going on in the community that the school district is a part of that I want to be able to keep building. Mm-hmm. So it's a great group of people. If it was dysfunctional, I would know that I would have wanted to come on to it. So it was something that I wanted to be a part of.
And I think, we're in a real important time in the district right now, too. You've come on at a critical time where we're dealing with high school capacity, boundary line potential, population, overpopulation at the high school. So I had a great feel of the study session that we had on the 29th, a great dialogue with the board, some real good ideas. But what are your thoughts on that? And I know we just taped a show on that as well, and we've made no decisions, but we're moving forward. We're trying to get closer to some options so we can get out to the community. So what has been your experience with that? Which I know you were actually involved earlier than other trustees because you had some involvement on the committee.
Yeah. Well, going back to the beginning of what you said, people always ask, how are things on the school board? Are you glad you did it? And yeah, there's been some bumps in the road. There will be more bumps in the road. That is life. You don't sign up just because everything is easy. You sign up because you feel you are up to a challenge. Yeah. And with the boundary issue, I'm a numbers guy. My background is numbers. I try to look at things logically. I try to keep emotion out of it as much as I can. It doesn't make sense when we've got two high schools that are over capacity and one high school that is under capacity not to look at redoing the lines. I know people don't like change, but I also know that the kids are usually able to recover pretty quickly, and this isn't the first time. The district has done it before. We'll do it in the future because it's not like everyone's going to sprinkle the kids out evenly across our school district, so we're never going to have to do this again.
Absolutely. I mean, we even see that at the school level. The kids don't all come to us, perfect 25 kids per class in first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade. Right. Some may have 100 in kindergarten and 50 in second grade, and we have to make those adjustments at the school level. And it is the same way district-wide. You don't have it. It's just not nice and neat all the time. And like you said, we have done this before, and probably in the future, we'll do it again.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get the students into the school and you see they adjust, and the children tend to be fine once they adjust. And but they're important decisions right now. And I overall, and we're in a good place, I believe. There's a lot of data we're using to make an informed decision, and just been a positive dialogue. And I know that's going to continue. So I think it's been, something that it creates some uncomfortableness within the community, like you kind of were mentioning. But at some point, it's the right thing to do, and it's the right thing to make those tough decisions. You have to make tough decisions on the board every time we're at those meetings. you know.
Well, and I think you had mentioned it a couple weeks ago when we were at one of the football games that you were talking to students that were going to go over to a football game across town where the other two football teams were playing, because they either have relatives that are over there or they've got friends that are over there. So again, if they're moving from one building to another building, and we're not moving any kids between buildings that are already there, but they've got a lot more connections to the other buildings than some people might expect them to have.
Well, and I saw that firsthand with my student advisory council to the superintendent, which I started over 2 years ago, and we're going into our third year. And you can see that the students really love the connections they build. We've had them as guests on this show every year. They will come again, and the application process is out again. And you can just see they really collaborate well, and they want to interact with one another. So in a way, it's kind of helped bring the schools together. But it's not just them. You see there's relationships all over the city, similar. Now, everybody still likes their own high school team they want to root for, and that's part of the fun.
Of course, you're going to keep that.
But
and it's always emotional. I mean, we understand that it is emotional, but like you said, you have to make decisions that make smart sense. Educationally is first and foremost the most important. That we're making decisions that's going to benefit the instruction in the schools. And that is what this is, a lot of this is all about. There's a financial component, yes, but it's really more about education. Just kind of in the final few minutes here, Glenn and I just were at a superintendent's conference and speaking with other superintendents. They're not always, we're fortunate here that we have a good board, and we're also very fortunate that there are people interested in being on the board. Other communities, they can't even get people to run for a seat. They're talking about appointing board members and then having some seats elected because they can't get people to vote. We're fortunate here. We've got a pool of people who are interested. If there's someone out there watching who's thinking, I don't know, it's a big commitment, but I want to be involved, what advice would you give somebody who's thinking about maybe making that jump and running for school board?
Well, first, it would be, for what reasons are you running? You've got to be very altruistic when you're doing this. You're doing this to benefit the students. You're doing this to benefit their families. You're doing this to benefit the taxpayers. Those are the three groups that I always try to look back on. Don't worry about the time commitment. The time commitment is what you make it to be. Again, since I'm local, I can make it to a lot more things than some other board members that have offices outside of Dearborn. And you might only see them at an after-hours type of event. So don't worry about that. Make it to the board meetings and any of the subcommittee meetings. And that was one adjustment that I had to make really quick because we're at the board meetings. It's taped. People can see what we're doing. There's an awful lot that's going on behind the scenes. So are we really always interacting? Well, we're interacting to a degree, but we've probably already talked a lot about it behind the scenes. And it's just, are we going to repeat everything now that the cameras are rolling, so to speak?
Sure.
So anyway, I'd just like to, in close, thanks, Jim, for being here today, and it's been great having you on the board. And again, we have a good board and appreciate your dedication, and it's been a pleasure for me to serve with you and all the trustees on the board. And he is one of my boss, so I'm going to have to say go green.
Okay.
Just to...
I hope they do better.
Yeah. But I do mean that sincerely, and for me, too, I look at it as, I kind of mentioned before, but why am I here? I'm really here for the students and passionate about what we're doing. That's what you are passionate, and we work together as a team. And I know in our trainings, the board superintendent and you have college president too, that relationship is critical, and then it just kind of sets the tone for the rest of the district. So again, thank you for coming on and sharing some of your story.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
All right, great. Glenn, I think that does it.
I think that's it, yeah.
Okay, Jim, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
And thank you for stopping by for a few minutes, whether you're watching us on Channel 19 or maybe clicking through the web and you caught us on our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. Keep clicking by, keep stopping by, because there's a lot going on in this district. There's a lot that we want to share with you as well. And we do it right here on this show called Happenings in the Dearborn Public Schools.